Have you ever felt that chill down your spine when a decision, yours and yours alone, could change the fate of everything and everyone around you? Not a simple daily choice, but a high-stakes decision where logic and panic wage war inside your mind. A moment when the pressure feels physical and time suddenly moves in slow motion. Hold on to that feeling, because we are about to dive into a true story where that experience was pushed to the most extreme limit imaginable. It was November 23, 1996. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961 was supposed to be just another shuttle, routine in the skies. Passengers settled in, some reading, others chatting, wrapped in the comforting normality that precedes a trip. That bubble of calm was about to shatter in the most brutal way possible. 3 men, young, desperate, and driven by a confused ideology, stormed the cockpit. They announced the hijacking and, to crush any resistance, claimed they had a bomb. The threat felt real and palpable. Fear spread through the aircraft like a virus, triggering an instant amygdala hijack across the cabin. Passengers and crew were taken over by the most primitive survival instinct. At the center of this storm stood Captain Leul Abate, an experienced pilot now facing the greatest test of his life. The terrorists' demand was straightforward but utterly delusional. They wanted political asylum in Australia, and they wanted the plane to go there. Now. Here the clash stopped being merely human and became mathematical. A cold and implacable dilemma. Captain Abate looked at his instruments, at the fuel gauges, and knew with the certainty only a specialist possesses that the trip was impossible. The Boeing 767 had fuel for about 3 or 4 hours of flight, and Australia was more than 11 hours away. It was like trying to cross an ocean with a scooter's gas tank. Think for a second. In your life, on a smaller scale, have you been there? That moment when you are asked to do the impossible, when the demand ignores reality entirely, and you are the only person who sees the impending catastrophe. The captain's mind became the most important battlefield in the world. On one side, logic screamed that it was impossible. Saying no, confronting the hijackers, and exposing the fantasy of the trip would likely trigger the detonation of the supposed bomb and the death of everyone on board. On the other side, obeying and following their plan was also a death sentence, because the aircraft would inevitably run out of fuel over the Indian Ocean with no chance of rescue. Both logical options led to the same tragic end. This is the point where most people would freeze. It is also the point where the psychology of critical decision-making reveals itself. When conventional logic offers only dead ends, a new path must be created. A path based not on force, but on influence. Not on confrontation, but on persuasion. Stay with me, because the way Captain Abate used persuasion engineering inside that pressurized cockpit goes far beyond any negotiation manual. He was trapped between the irrationality of his captors and the immutable laws of physics. His only weapon was not in the flight controls, but in his ability to understand and manage the human mind under extreme stress. The question was no longer what do I do, but what do I make them believe I am doing? Faced with 2 death sentences, he had to forge a third way. And what you are about to discover about his first move on this deadly chessboard may surprise you. The captain's first move was disarmingly simple, almost insane if you look at it superficially. He agreed. Instead of raising a wall of resistance with the word no, he opened a door with the word yes. He looked at the hijackers, whose adrenaline and emotion made them predictable in their aggression, and said he would take them to Australia. In that instant, he stopped being just the pilot and became the architect of a new reality. This strategic acceptance was not an act of surrender. It was a sophisticated maneuver of control. By agreeing, he diffused the immediate hostility, won the fragile trust of his captors, and most crucially, bought time, the most valuable resource in any critical decision. He ceded apparent control to assume real control of the situation. This is where I need to pause with you. The genius of this decision goes beyond technique. It taps into something deeply human. The courage to go against the instinct to fight, to say yes when everything in you wants to scream no. How did you feel realizing this move? Does the idea of agreeing in order to control, of using the psychology of acceptance to navigate a hostile environment, make sense to you? If this story or reflection touched you in any way, leave a comment. I want to know what is going through your mind, because your perspective enriches our conversation. And if this analysis of the human mind under pressure is valuable to you and is helping you see things from a new angle, your like is the clearest signal we can receive. It shows we are on the right track. Your participation builds this community of curious minds and helps this channel grow. Every comment and every like fuels our ability to reach more people with this kind of content. If you do not want to miss what happened next, and you want to keep unraveling the secrets of persuasion with me, consider subscribing. By doing so, you not only support the work, you ensure you will not miss our next deep dives. But saying yes was only the first step, the opening move. The hardest and truly brilliant part was how he managed to sustain that narrative, that complex illusion at 33,000 feet with everyone's lives in his hands. The answer is not found in aeronautical engineering, but in the backstage of the human mind. To understand the pilot's mastery, we first need to enter the psychology of his opponents. We must uncover the hidden truth beneath all that aggression. The hijackers were not cold strategists. They were moved by raw emotion, by a desperation that pushed them forward while blinding them completely. Their plan was rudimentary, based more on will than logic, and that was their greatest weakness. They had the power of threat, but the pilot had the power of knowledge, and above all, mental clarity. The turning point, the shift in power dynamics inside that cockpit, began when Captain Abate realized that the hijackers' greatest strength was also their greatest weakness. Let us go deeper, because this is where important revelations about all of us under stress live. The hijackers were operating under an intense psychological phenomenon known as cognitive tunneling. Think of it like looking through a reverse telescope. When pressure and fear hit critical levels, the mind, in an attempt to protect itself, narrows the focus drastically. It ignores everything peripheral and fixates obsessively on a single point, the threat or the immediate goal. In their case, the goal was Australia. That word became a mantra, a sun they stared into, burning their retinas to any other information. They did not have the mental bandwidth to process the route on a map, the flight time, the position of the sun, or the instrument data. Their mentality was locked, and the pilot had the key. He did not need a perfect simulated flight. He only needed to feed that tunnel with small pieces of information that confirmed what they desperately wanted to believe. The effect was total. They were on a journey to an imaginary destination, convinced of their route, while the pilot guided them along a completely different path. If the idea of how our mind narrows under pressure clicked for you, if this tunnel concept made sense, comment, "shielded mind." This vulnerability explains how the lie could be sustained. It reveals only half the equation. If they were trapped in that tunnel, how did the pilot keep himself out of it and use their weakness to influence decisions in his favor? The answer lies in one of the most underestimated pillars of strategic influence, the principle of authority, not the kind that shouts and imposes, but the kind that calms and anchors. In the midst of absolute chaos, of panic and adrenaline, Captain Leul Abate became the only source of stability. His calm was not passivity, it was a weapon. The thousands of hours of experience radiated off him, creating a stark contrast with the impulsivity and amateurism of his captors. This asymmetry of composure was the first major turn in this crisis. The hijackers had brute force. The pilot held the monopoly on competence. The hidden truth in any high-risk negotiation is that even those in apparent control depend desperately on the expertise of the person who truly knows what they are doing. They needed him. Let us go deeper, because this reveals something about the nature of power. Their power was fragile, built on a lie, the fake bomb, and on the fear it created. The pilot's power was real, undeniable, grounded in years of training and a mindset forged to handle the unpredictable. This tragic journey was being led by one person who knew every decision would have definitive consequences, and by three others who barely understood the implications of their demands. That brutal gap in technical and mental preparation became the foundation for Captain Abate's entire persuasion strategy. He understood that to transform the situation, he did not need to confront their force, but to exploit their dependence. He was the only navigator in that ocean of uncertainty, and even though the hijackers felt like the ship's captains, they could not read the stars. They needed his hands, his voice, his calm to take the next step. If you have felt or witnessed how calm can dominate chaos, or if this idea resonated with you, comment, "Calm is control." Having that quiet authority is one thing. Knowing how to use it to make the first tactical move that would change the entire course of the story is another. How do you translate composure into concrete persuasive action? The way to translate that composure into action was at once the simplest and most brilliant move in the entire crisis. Faced with an impossible demand, a death threat, and crushing pressure, Captain Abate did what runs counter to our instinct to confront. He said yes. He agreed. Instead of erecting a wall of logic and facts that would be met with violence, he built a bridge of acceptance. This decision, which at first glance looks like surrender, was in fact the beginning of a profound power shift in that cockpit. It was the moment he stopped being a victim of circumstance and became the silent architect of the outcome. By saying he would fly to Australia, he did not give up control. He took it in a way his captors could never perceive. The impact of that single word was immediate and devastating to the aggressor's strategy. Let us go deeper, because this maneuver, known as strategic acceptance, is one of the most powerful tools in persuasion engineering. The hidden truth is that by agreeing, the captain instantly removed the main point of friction. The hijacker's aggression, which expected resistance, hit a void. With nothing to push against, their adrenaline had nowhere to go. This gave the pilot three resources more valuable than gold in any negotiation. First, he neutralized hostility and lowered the emotional temperature of the crisis. Second, he gained fragile yet essential trust. Third, and most important, he gained time. Time to think, time to calm the passengers, time to fly, and time for his mental search for a solution to continue. This agree and redirect mindset is one of the most counterintuitive revelations in conflict management. Sometimes, to guide decisions, you must first flow with the proposal. If the idea of agreeing to redirect opened your mind to a new way of handling conflict, comment, strategic, yes. But promising an impossible trip to calm tempers is one thing. Executing the plan, sustaining the deception minute by minute at cruise altitude with dozens of lives depending on your performance, is another. How exactly did he build this illusion in the air? Here is where his tactical genius truly shines. He did not limit himself to words, he used the aircraft itself as a stage. Once he had said the strategic yes, Captain Abate began one of the boldest deceptions in aviation history. He maneuvered the 767 and began to fly, but not east toward Australia. He subtly turned south, staying along the coast of Africa. For the hijackers, looking out the cockpit windows, the view was the same, blue sky and ocean. Their journey had begun. The hidden truth was that every minute of flight did not bring them closer to their dream but drew them deeper into the web the pilot was weaving. The impact was monumental. He was, in practice, burning fuel in a controlled way, shortening the hijackers' radius of action without their slightest suspicion. Let us go deeper, because the backstage of this maneuver reveals a fundamental principle of influence, the asymmetry of knowledge. The captain's plan was possible for one reason: the hijackers' complete ignorance of aviation. That insight guided his moves. They could not read the instruments, they did not understand navigation, airways, or using the sun's position to orient themselves. Their already narrow focus depended entirely on the narrative they were given. Captain Abate was the narrator, the translator of technical reality. He described what the instruments were saying, pointed to the horizon, and confirmed the route. He was not only flying an airplane, he was directing a play at 30,000 feet, and the hijackers were the captive audience. It was a silent transformation where information, or the lack of it, became the primary weapon determining the course of all those lives. If you understand that in many cases, the person who controls the narrative controls reality, comment, power of the narrative. Keeping 3 men fooled in a small cockpit is already a masterstroke. But what about the other 172 people on board, also on this journey into the unknown? How could he expand his circle of influence and bring the passengers to his side without tipping off the hijackers? The answer leads to one of the riskiest and most brilliant moments of the entire ordeal. Captain Abate knew his deception, however ingenious, had limits. He was playing mental chess, but needed more pieces on the board. He needed allies. He made one of the boldest decisions imaginable in such a situation. He picked up the public address microphone under the hijacker's watchful eyes and spoke to all the passengers. At first glance, a suicidal act that could shatter the illusion and expose his plan. But as always, there was a hidden layer of strategy. The true impact of this move was not that he spoke, but how and in what language he spoke. Let us go deeper, because here lies a major lesson about communication in hostile environments. He did not speak in English, aviation's lingua franca that the hijackers partially understood. He deliberately addressed passengers in French and in Amharic, his native language and that of many on board, which were gibberish to his captors. In plain sight, he created a secret channel. It was a masterstroke. Through those messages, linguistically coded, he pulled off a silent transformation. He informed the passengers of the real situation. He revealed they were not heading to Australia, that fuel was running out, and, in an act of extreme courage, suggested they be ready to fight and intervene. He was trying to shift the mindset of 172 victims, planting seeds of resistance and action. He was sharing the burden of decisions, hoping that collective strength would matter at the critical moment he knew was coming. If the audacity of using communication as a covert tool to build alliances impressed you, comment, hidden message. He set the board with astonishing skill, moved his pieces with eerie calm, and planted resistance in the passengers' minds. But every strategy, no matter how brilliant, has an implacable enemy: physical reality. And reality, measured in liters of kerosene, was dangerously close to running out. It arrived as the most dreaded sound in any flight, the silence of an engine dying. Then the other. In that moment, the entire architecture of persuasion, the web of deception masterfully spun over hours, collapsed. The charade ended. The hidden truth was exposed, not by a flaw in the plan, but by the brute force of physics. The aircraft, now without thrust, began transforming into a 200-ton glider with an inevitable and imminent destination, the surface of the ocean. The psychological impact on the hijackers was instant and violent. Their cognitive tunnel was blown open, and what they saw was their own mortality. Denial gave way to fury. The realization of the deception lit the final fuse of their aggression. Let us go deeper, because this is the breaking point where persuasion hits its hard limit. When reality asserts itself with absolute force, there is no room left for narrative. The game changes. That is exactly what happened in the cockpit of Flight 961. What followed was the confrontation the captain had tried to avoid for hours, a desperate, chaotic physical struggle for the controls. It was no longer about who told the better story. It was about who had the strength to push the yoke. The pilot's mindset had to transform in an instant, from strategist and negotiator to fighter and survivor, trying to maintain a minimum of control over a falling machine. His decisions were no longer about the next chess move, but about bank angle and pitch in split seconds to try to soften the inevitable. If you understand that there are moments when strategy reaches its limit and hard reality simply prevails, comment, reality factor. In those last terrible seconds, with the airplane becoming a projectile and the ocean racing up, the captain's final decisions were no longer about fooling terrorists. They were about finding the least catastrophic impact to give a chance to those who trusted him. Fighting the hijackers' interference until the last instant, Captain Abate attempted a ditching, something for which there is no real training. The impact was violent. The aircraft broke apart as it struck the shallow water near the Comoros Islands, a tragic end to hours of agony and tension. The immediate outcome, stated plainly, is a catastrophe. Of the 175 human beings on board, 125 lost their lives that day. It is a devastating number. a loss that must be spoken with the full weight and respect it carries. Every number represents a story cut short and a shattered family. The raw truth is that most did not survive, and that is the most painful part of this story. Let us go deeper, because behind this tragedy lies another layer of analysis, one that only strategic decision psychology can reveal. Amid the pain, we must look at the 50 survivors, including the pilot. The question is not why so many died, but how anyone survived at all. The answer lies in each decision the captain made from the very start. Had he obeyed blindly and flown into the open ocean, fuel would have run out just the same, but the airplane would have fallen hundreds or thousands of kilometers from any shore, any boat, any help. The likely result would have been 0 survivors, 0 witnesses, a vanished aircraft. The long and agonizing persuasion play, the ruse of heading to Australia while staying near Africa, was not only to buy time. The hidden truth is that it was a strategy to control the location of the inevitable. It was the transformation of a certain end into a small possibility. His mindset was not only to survive, but to create the best possible conditions for the worst-case scenario. If you can see the strategic victory within an apparent and tragic defeat, comment, hidden victory. This analysis shows the impact of a strategic mindset in extreme circumstances. The question that really matters now is how we, in our lives and careers, and our own high-pressure crises, can extract and apply these same lessons to transform our outcomes. That is the true purpose of this session. This is where the analytical journey meets your own path of transformation. What Captain Abate did, instinctively or not, can be decoded into a practical framework, a mindset we can call the Abate framework for our own battles. The first and most fundamental lesson is cold rational assessment. In any crisis, whether a negotiation gone sour or a project imploding, the first decision is to separate immutable facts from volatile emotions. The captain did not argue about fuel, he accepted it as a law of physics. For us, that means asking, what is my fuel in this situation? What is incontestable fact, and what is perception, fear, or irrational demand? That clarity gives you solid ground before your next step. It is the map that shows the real limits of your playing field. Let us go deeper, because once you know where you stand, your first interaction sets the tone for everything else. Enter the second principle, strategic friction reduction. Remember the captain's yes. Instead of confronting an irrational and emotional counterpart, which only creates resistance, you use tactical agreement. It is not passivity, it is intelligence. In a tense meeting, rather than saying this is impossible, say I understand your ambitious goal. To get there, let us explore what would be required. The impact of this small shift is huge. You disarm defensiveness, lower the other side's guard, and open a window for influence. You turn an opponent into a reluctant collaborator and gain control of the conversation, not by force, but by smarts. This is one of the most powerful revelations for anyone seeking results. The journey to control often begins with a calculated step in the other party's direction. If you can already picture how to use at least one of these two strategies to create real impact in your decisions, comment, master move. But having the reality map and calming the storm are only the first steps. Once you have attention and trust, how do you actually take control of the narrative and use what you know to ethically guide the outcome in your favor? This final step completes the framework. Once you have the other side's calm and attention, you take narrative control. Remember, Captain Abate was not just flying, he was narrating the trip. He was the translator of reality for his captors. In your life, this means being the person who frames the problem, and more importantly, the solution. The one who explains the situation with the most clarity and confidence naturally leads it. Finally, he used information asymmetry to his advantage. He knew things his opponents did not know, about aviation, geography, and the aircraft itself. In our careers and lives, we all have specific knowledge. Using that advantage ethically is not about deception. It is about guidance. It is using your expertise to lead people to a better decision they could not see on their own. This journey through Flight 961 reveals a deep truth. Even in the darkest, most hopeless situations, A strategic mindset and an understanding of human psychology can create possibilities where none seemed to exist. We cannot control events, but we can profoundly influence outcomes through the decisions we make. If this conversation, this immersion into the mind under pressure, made sense and brought you value, the way to continue this journey with me is to subscribe. Your subscription allows us to keep producing deep analysis that goes far beyond the surface. For you who stayed with me until this very second, my sincere thanks. Your attention is our most valuable asset. If you felt the connection we built, leave a like so I know this message truly resonated. And so I can recognize who dives deep. Write in the comments, I made it to the end. This mindset is a powerful tool. To help you put it further into practice, there is a video right here that perfectly complements what we discussed. Click it, and we will continue the conversation there. And that is the reflection I wanted to leave with you today. If you stayed with me until the end, it means this deep conversation about the human mind under pressure truly resonated. Thank you for your attention and your trust. To let me know you completed this journey, comment, I made it to the end. It will be amazing to see who is ready to take the controls. If at any point you felt a spark of clarity, a genuine aha moment, your like is the best way to register that connection. We will keep exploring the backstage of behavior and decision-making here. If this kind of analysis strengthens you and gives you tools, subscribe so we do not lose each other and can keep growing together. Our conversation does not have to end now. There is a video right beside this one that perfectly continues what we discussed today. Click it and let us keep this going. I will see you in the next video.